Hello, monsters and children. I am Sister Boonity. Sister Unity, not here. Sister Crap, not here. But we are still fumigating to get rid of the smell. Sister Pickle, not here. Sister Oaxaca Lugi, no está aquí. Es solamente Sister Boonity. Boo! 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 Are you terrified? Because it is Halloween. And it is time to dive deep into horror. For example, look at my crappy makeup. Ugh, I was in a rush. 2.5 years of COVID. Who knows how to do spooky makeup? All right. If we're going to tell scary stories, we cannot have disco. One moment will I kill the disco. As we said in the punk movement in 1978, disco is dead. Dead. Sister Boonity is ready to tell you hours of terrifying stories. Woo! Scary. But first, let us see. Oh, there is a coyote that is watching me. They used to live in the Southwest. Now they go as far as Canada. And this brings me to scary story number 1! I have got to get a soundboard with some sound effects so I can go press button and get thunder and lightning. You get the idea. Scary story number 1. A vast universe, so big, so sophisticated that even the most intelligent minds in the universe cannot possibly grasp how the freaking thing works. There are massive pieces of gas swirling around for more miles that can possibly be traveled by a photon of light. And these are swinging through endless numbers, billions and trillions and quadrillions and pick your nozillions of these galaxies are swinging around, nearly missing each other, eating each other, becoming one, making a mess, going off on their own. And in each one of these, there are trillions of stars, little pimples of gas that are on fire because there is so much gas. There is so much mass of the gas that it is so pulling itself together because of gravity that it explodes in a fireball explosion that is so enormous that it takes 8 billion years to explode. Imagine if you had to cut a fart for 8 billion years. It is like what a star is doing. And of these exploding humongous masses of gas, there are billions, and they are chasing each other around in weird, swirling shapes. Most of them, as you could well imagine, because there are so many, they suck together into one that is made up of all their dead bodies in the middle of this swirling chase. The one in the middle has so many dead bodies that have smacked into it that it itself is so big. It creates so much pull and gravity that not even the photons of light can escape. Nothing can escape. It is so big and pulling so much that even the smart people think it might pull you all the way through into another reality. That is pretty big, eh? And out in the suburbs, and not the good suburbs with the good school systems, but the ones with, with the racist red line to put people of color, because that is what racists do when they run a country. Out in those suburbs, there is a star that is burning about halfway through its life. And in this edge of this neighborhood, this star is still so big that it takes 40 years to go at the speed of faster than the speed of sound from the inside near it all the way to get out of its influence. It takes 40 years of traveling faster than the speed of sound. That is still pretty big. And there are so many pieces of chemicals and atoms and quarks and molecules that I have spinning around this star, that they over millions of years have coagulated into spheres, because magnetism likes spheres. I don't know. It's just the pull and the movement and everything becomes a ball. I must have a lot of gravity myself. I have two. Now you know something about the physiology of Sister Boonity. And so these crusts, these dust balls of leftover molecules chasing around the star out on the edge of the massive galaxy in the impossibly infinite, sophisticated, what the hell is it doing anyway, universe, leaves you on one little dust ball that is very, very wet. And you live in this place with little tiny bugs that you cannot see, but they want to drink your blood. And there are even smaller little things that you cannot see ever with your own eyes, no matter how good your eyes may be. They are so small, but they will kill you by making you vomit up your own blood. Also on this wet dust ball, there are other flesh bags just like you. And all of them are trying to get something for themselves. And they have been doing this for over 10,000 years, until so many of them have gotten so many things, they have become demented. And the ones with the most things are so demented by this disease of having things that they cannot stop, and they will get more and more things. And because they spend their lives and all of their energy getting these more things, the only way to get more things is to do actions which will kill you. And this whole planet, this wet dust ball, there are maybe 1% of 8 billion people who have these things and want more of these things, disease. And all the rest of the 8 billion people don't know how to stop them. And they are so powerful, these I want more things people, that they are destroying their own ability to breathe, to walk outside without being killed by the wind or the heat. And when they die, these people who have so much, so many things, they can do anything in the world, including leave the world. But they cannot stop from killing everyone else. And so, because you cannot stop them, because you do not stop them, because you play along with them, with your car and your computer and your television and your steak and hamburger and pork chops, you will all die. Well, it may take a while, so maybe not you, but if you have grandchildren, they are fucked. This is the conclusion of scary story number 1. Now, I will drink from our advertiser's plastic cup. If you are in Carbondale, Illinois, I highly recommend the deep dish-esque pizza at Quattro's. Quattro's, unlike the pizzerias in Los Angeles, they know from a marinara. One bite into their pizza and the marinara will come squirting out of the side of the pizza. That is good pizza. No one in Los Angeles can make a pizza with the right marinara. Quattro's, Carbondale, Illinois. Sister Boonity takes a short break to read the comments. There are not many comments. As Sister Boonity suspected, her grand gesture of spending her Halloween evening when she could be cavorting with naked Twinkies, but it is spent here to deliver art and horror on Halloween to you. Earns her about 12 people maximum. I told you, the star is meh. Nick the Wolf. Yes, Sister Boonity is friends with an actual wolf. He lives with another wolf. He also lives with a very pretty Twinkie wolf. Raven. A wolf raven. He lives with wolves and ravens. Hello, Nick. I hope you are surviving. Not to fear. Nick is pretty freaking scary himself because he is the Undertaker. I think that means he does not work on a W-2 or a 1099. He takes his money under the table. Hence, Nick the Wolf is the Undertaker. Like grasping at someone's balls from behind him. I told you there would be smart. Children, go to bed. Yes, Nick! Yes! Ebola! It was a reference to Ebola! Coughs up some bad times. Sister Boonity must feed. But unfortunately, Sister Boonity has no rats from which to suck the blood, nor any Twinkies to suck other fluids. Ha! That was smart. Instead, Sister Boonity has lemon garlic pita chips! Ha ha ha! Pita! I will destroy the children of the wheat! Nick the Wolf. John the Raven is sending an anathema. Halloween is not the night for love. Tell John to send his flesh. No, just kidding. I don't mean to inspire infidelity. I had hummus in the kitchen, but if you were here from the beginning, you may have noticed I was a little late. So, screw the hummus. Pita chip with no hummus. You are a cruel audience. I would have it no other way. Sister Boonity has accoutrement. That is French. It means stuff. Sister Boonity will send you a personalized Facebook message. If you can tell Sister Boonity which type of pumpkin this pumpkin is. You know, like apples. There is Red Delicious, Macintosh, Gala, Pink Lady, Macoon, Cortland, others, Golden Delicious, Granny Smith. Well, pumpkins have these too. What kind of pumpkin is this one? Nick, you are the undertaker. You are not the embalmer. Don't peel John's skin. Know your place. And Sister Boonity has this brass object. He suspects his grandmother procured it from Turkey. Turkey brass. I think in English you call it turkey. It is the next holiday. Lay off this one. This one is mine. I finish my chip. No! No, Nick! No, Nick the Wolf! Nick the Wolf has made an error! Ha 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 ha! The classic pumpkin is taller. This one is sort of squish flat. If no one guesses correct by end of evening, last story will reveal what kind of pumpkin this is. That is a promise from Sister Underfed Boonity. All right. Having told first scary story, Sister Boonity is now in next phase. Sister Boonity wants you to write name of an unknown ghost story, never been told, must pick story that does not exist. Give me scary ghost story, monster story, horror story, title. Just title, and I will invent story from title. I ask for a few more things after title, but in comments, give me title of story. I invent new horror story. Improvisation. Very scary. Scary fish! Ah! Nick the Wolf, I think you must be the only person watching. You are most loyal fan in all hell. Because all of my fans are clearly from hell. One more chip, then we start the next scary story, which has been named by Nick the Wolf, The Lost Child. Where is he? Where is she? The child. Where did it go? I don't know, but we will find out when I finish my next chip. Yes, Nick, like dog poop on a shoe in New York, you have shown up. Coyote, very good title. The Minotaur's Hunger. It is an ancient tale from Hungary. Ha! Geographic pun. But, unfortunately, it must wait. Because Nick the Wolf has given me the title of the next story. Seriously, I got off work at 6:30 and had to dive in to getting into makeup. This is dinner. Ha! The terrible story of the lost child. It was a town in New Hampshire, northern New Hampshire, away from the big, bustling city of Nashua. That is a joke. Every city in New Hampshire is teensy weensy. Why they have the first election and everybody goes so freaking out about it, I don't know. It's New Hampshire. There is nobody there. This was a town that was brand new. No one had lived there ever before. It was created out of a swamp. A developer had bought the land and had filled in the swamp with plenty of sand, gravel, and loam. Very scary, loam. And then upon the sand, the gravel, and the loam, the developer had put houses, tiny houses, ticky-tacky houses. They weren't so bad. This was, after all, the 90s. I fooled you. You thought it was contemporary. I told you no. It has to be for a time ago. Scary stories are always in the past, except for the man, the ghost with no arm. No, the man with the golden arm. Yeah, that one is, of course, current. The whole scare depends on it being right now. Anyway, the town was made up of 25 split-level duplexes with nice backyards, plenty of room to grow garden or fruit trees. Two-car garage, being duplexes, garage fits both cars for both families, plenty of street parking because brand new town in teensy-weensy northern New Hampshire, close to Canadian border. All of these families from New York City and Philadelphia and Boston, they looked and they saw the ad for the town and they thought to themselves, I don't have to work from an office anymore. I work for a high-tech company. I will relocate somewhere rural where I can raise my children and do things with my wife without anyone hearing us through the wall. Smut. I will go and buy this property in northern New Hampshire, close to Canadian border, and I will live with the mooses and the beavers. So they moved 25 couples from the big cities and the suburbs of the East Coast. One family even from Eugene, Oregon, moved to New Hampshire. And they were all settling in. It was a very lovely summer. They all unpacked their furniture and arranged their living rooms and invited each other over in late August for lemonade and cold salmon and peas salad. The bourgeoisie was ensconced. They had piped in off-the-grid solar, and they had Wi-Fi from a satellite above. They did not lack for any of the amenities of modern civilization, except the nearest police station was 100 miles away, and the nearest hospital was 200 miles away from northern New Hampshire near the Canadian border. If the shit were to hit the fan, it would take a while to avail themselves of resources. So summer became autumn, and the leaves began to turn the colors. And the families were so overjoyed to be living in the middle of a burning forest, aflame with oranges and reds and peace yellows, sugar maples and silver maples, and oak trees and beech trees and birch trees and ash, all of them turning bright colors, elms which usually turn yellow. Even the long dead, rare American chestnut tree. There was one, because one family was so bourgeois. They went to the farm in Pennsylvania where they're trying to grow them again in hybrid species crossbred with the Chinese chestnut, which is immune to the disease that killed all of the American chestnut trees over the course of the 20th century. And they brought one of these hybrids and planted it in the front yard. All of the leaves were beautiful colors. But on the night before Halloween, when the veil is still thin, not its thinnest, but still thin, when half of the leaves were gone from the trees, the families were sitting down to carve their pumpkins. The sun had gone down hours ago, and they had had dinner hours ago, and they were sitting down to sew the buttons on their spooky Halloween costumes and carve out the guts of their pumpkins. When this one family, the Jones family, they were over in the cul-de-sac, at the end of the cul-de-sac, the house closest on that street to the woods. They heard a knock at the door, and they thought it was unusual because no one in this town development of 25 people goes out after the dark. They all visit each other's houses. Maybe they watch Downton Abbey together. Oh, sorry, it's the 90s. Maybe they watch Star Trek Next Generation together, but they go home before 8 o'clock. And it was already 8:47. Okay, I make error. Star Trek Next Generation was on at 8 o'clock or 9. Okay, they don't watch any television together with each other. Just take my word for it. They're at home. Nobody socializes after dark. It's just how it goes. And it went that way for like 4 months, okay? So the knock is weird. The wife goes to the door. I realize that you may be wondering why it is that Sister Boonity is sometimes Slavic and at other times is apparently from Mexico. That is because Sister Boonity is a mixed race child. America's a melting pot, and I'm a piece of fondue. The wife opens the door and is very surprised because there is a small child at the door. And the child is wearing shorts and short sleeved shirt. A little strange for October 30th in the north of New Hampshire, close to Canadian border. The child says in a weak voice, "Can you help me? I am lost and cannot find my way home." Now the wife, she knows all the families in the development. 25 is not that many. And she knows all of the people who have the children, and there are not many. Most of these former New Yorkers have moved up to stoop each other and make families. Only 3 already have a child. 1. And this boy is not one of the children. The wife says, "Oh, my goodness, you must be so far away. This is strange. How? Come in, come in." She closes the door and she introduces her husband, takes the child into the dining room. The child is clearly starving, but the wife sets down a plate of food in front of the child. But the child does not eat anything. The child makes polite excuses and does not eat. And the wife and the husband, they ask the child many questions. What town are you in? Where is your home? What is your mother and father's name? How did you get lost? Where were you? What were you doing? And all the child would say is, "My name is Peter. I was exploring the woods and I went too far. I started out in the morning and I went too far." And when asked what town he lived in, the child, who seemed to be maybe 6 years old, said, "I don't remember." And when asked what his parents' names were, he said, "My father is Peter and my mother is Mary." That is all the information they could procure from the child. They called the police. The police station was closed with only one person manning the phones. He said, "We send someone in the morning. Can you take care of the child for the night?" The name of the town could not be remembered, so the couple could not drive the child home. They must depend on the police. So they take the child to a guest room, which they intend someday to be their child's nursery. They have been stooping, but nothing yet. And they tuck the child into bed. They read a copy of Good Night Moon, which, if you did not know, was written by a lesbian woman. Yes, it was. And she was not a lonely lesbian woman. She had a lover. It's a good story. So they put the child to bed and they go to bed themselves. And in the middle of the night, they hear loud screams. They jump out of their bed and they run into the child's room. This is where the screams are coming from. But when they get to the child's room, there is no child. The bed covers are all crimpled and pushed back. The child has clearly left the bed. And suddenly the screams, which they were sure were coming from the room, they are now coming from outside the house. And the couple, they run around the house with flashlights, outside looking for the child. And they find nothing. Nothing. Until the sun comes up. And they find nothing. They call the police in the next morning. They report the child is now gone. The police, they come, they interview, they take notes. Nothing happens. There is no child. Who are they looking for? They don't know. Child's name is Peter. The town is not known. It could be a town, the next town over is maybe 20 miles. It could be from that one, or 25 miles over in that direction, or there's one just on the other side of the Canadian border. That's 30 miles away. They don't know. And it's going to take a long time to go through diplomatic channels to find out if the Canadian Mounties will look in that town 30 miles away. All of the paperwork is in process when Halloween night comes. And on Halloween night, the families with the children go to each of the 25 other houses, and everyone knows these 3 children, and they know the 3 children are coming, and they have prepared wonderful candies. There are the cups that are from Reese. There are the bars that are so expensive you must spend $150 $1,000 to eat one, but they give them away to the children. There are the chewy bars from Charleston that you put in the freezer and then you hit them on the table and they shatter just like a relationship. And then you eat the pieces just like a relationship. The children have gone through their candy, they have eaten the few pieces that are allowed by their parents, and then they go through their sugar high and run screaming around the house, and then they fall asleep in their little onesies, and everyone is turning out the porch lights at 9 o'clock, and everyone is in bed by 10 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, on the door of every single house, except the one that had been visited by the lost boy, at all 24 other houses, there are knocking on the door. And it is sharp and loud, though not violent, just persistent. And each family, the husband or the wife, awakes because they have lived in a city. They are used to being woken up by sounds. And they all, 24 couples, have gone to the door and opened the door. And do you know what they saw when they opened the door? Every single family saw a little child in shorts with a short sleeve shirt. Very odd for October 31st in the north of New Hampshire near the Canadian border. And 24 couples who were kind enough to build this community together. They are all bringing the child into their house and asking questions. The child in each house has reported, "I am lost and I cannot find my way home." And in 24 houses, the same questions are asked. What is your name? What are your parents' names? What is the name of the town you are from? And in 24 houses, the answers from 24 children are the same. I am Peter. My mother and father are Peter and Mary. I don't know the name of my town. I forgot. I don't know which way to go. I was in the forest. I started exploring the forest in the morning and walked all day, and now I don't know where I am. And in 24 houses, a plate of food was brought. And in 24 houses, Peter did not eat the food. And in 24 houses around 11:53 p.m., all the Peters, not that kind, were shown to a guest room and a bed and were tucked in and read "Good Night, Moon" by the lesbian writer and poet. You should read her poems. They are very moving. She writes about her lesbian partner and their relationship, the ups and the downs. Very good poet. Early 20th century American. And in 24 houses, the couples then, leaving Peter asleep in their guest beds, go to bed themselves. At 4:37 in the morning, the sun begins to break the horizon with that reddish smear that brown, purple going up from the reddish smear of the beginning rays of the sun into the inky blue and black of the night sky. The sun pushes its way above the horizon and the crumpled leaves of autumn, turning the inky black into grey and then blue, and creating a wash of sienna and burnt orange and ochre and bright yellow, sunrise colors. And when the sun finally makes its own sphere above the horizon, at the time when the day has broken and breakfast is being prepared in most houses in New Hampshire, including northern New Hampshire, no breakfast is prepared in the houses of the small development. Instead, there are screams coming from 3 houses. Because in 3 houses, the child born to the couple, the child that they had brought from New York and Philadelphia and Boston, is missing, as well as the child named Peter. The parents, all 25 parents, they searched the houses, they searched the yards, they searched the woods, all the way to the Canadian border. They got friends and families and people from other towns and the police. They made those lines where they hold hands and they walk all up and down through the fields and the woods, calling names and looking for bodies, and nothing was ever found. The 3 children were on the milk cartons and nothing was ever found. And these couples, most of them lived in this small development for a variety of time, from 3 years to 25 years. And no one who ever lived there, no matter how hard they tried, no one could produce another child. That was the story made from the title offered by Nick the Wolf, The Lost Child. Was it creepy? Was it a metaphor for abortion? Was it stupid? Was it an indictment of the bourgeoisie? I don't know. I am Sister Boonity. I concentrate on being spooky or dumb. You may discern the meaning for yourself and type it in the comments for everyone to perceive your genius analysis. Let us see what has been written. I am unaware of Jewish in my accent. But being Slavic, Eastern Europe is where there is a lot of Ashkenazi Jews having their roots. It could be. Hello, fairy. My night is very spooky because I am very spooky. Boo, I told you. All of the above. The quality of the American education, it is not what it used to be. I have no analysis here. I need analysis with literary references and cross references. I want footnotes. Honestly, how did you people ever pass your SATs? My day, we had to write essay for SAT. That is why they call it SAT, because you have to write essay. Sister Boonity takes break. You know what? Only 4 people here. I will make you wait while I go to get my very important ingredients for Sister Boonity's snack break. 1 moment, please. This will not be a 5-minute break. This will be at most 30 seconds. If Sister Boonity were not wearing her velvet robe, you might be able to see Sister Boonity's penis. Fortunately for the entire world, you are unable to see Sister Boonity's penis. Excuse Sister Boonity while she arranges food items on table next to her. Sister Boonity is sitting on her own veil. Sister Boonity is besieged by her own fabric. This is normal for Sister Boonity. And now the most terrifying thing of the entire evening. Sister Boonity has scraped the dead flesh of cadavers of the homeless that nobody claimed, and with the dead flesh of the cadavers of the homeless, from their kneecaps, elbows, and ears she has made chips, and grinding their livers and other organs like pancreases, she has made hummus. Pancreas, homeless pancreas hummus. Tasty pancreas hummus. Do you want to know the flavor of the homeless pancreas hummus? It tastes like immoral class neglect. And lemon. Immoral class neglect and lemon is the flavor of homeless pancreas hummus. Nick the Wolf, you have coined a new term, a more of the cloth. Sister Boonity is one of the sisters of perpetual indulgence, and she is, I personally avowed, more of the cloth. And when she says the cloth, she refers to a small golf towel kept by bed for certain purposes. You catch my meaning. Do you put the red peppers and the garlic with what kind of human organ, Nick the Wolf? Paul the Joiner. If I got a humor from my immoral homeless, I've forgotten it, from my homeless pancreas hummus, it would not be pancreas hummus. It would be homeless humor hummus. And I don't want to keep trying to say humor hummus with a Slavic Spanish accent. You try it. I cover the homeless pancreas hummus for the moment, and I eat an inflamed eyeball of Russian soldier killed in Ukraine. Take that, Vladimir Putin. No, my accent is not Russian. It is Belarusian. It is Western Moldovan, near Carpathian Mountains, where my ancestors taught me how to make tzatziki. This was originally invented by Dr. Thaddeus Ziki. He was Hungarian, living in Carpathian Mountains. And though his name was Thaddeus Ziki, everyone just called him by his nickname, Tad. That is who invented tzatziki. But you knew this already because you are Americans, and the Americans are so well educated. That was my third horror story. Nick, whose liver and whose kidney is important? Name names. In 1 minute, we are coming to the end of the first hour of horror. In the second hour, a performance art piece where I will recreate an important work of performance art from the 1970s or early 80s, done in New York by foundational performance artist Karen Finley, in which she shoves yam into her own colon through asshole. It is not a yam, it's a sweet potato, but you work with what you can get. But I will only do this if someone can guess correctly what type of pumpkin this is called and what is this brass object from Turkey. You tell me these things, maybe I try to do a Karen Finley performance. You know what? I'm still hungry. I need to eat more of my homeless pancreas hummus. If you are at home watching me now, I demand and request that you, at the top of your lungs that you feel you can get away with, shout as loudly as possible for you at this time, homeless pancreas hummus, 3 times, like you're casting a spell, because I want to see what the hell your friends in the house think the hell you're doing. 1, 2, 3. Homeless pancreas hummus. Homeless pancreas hummus. Homeless pancreas hummus. Now you can shit yourself laughing because their reaction is like, what the hell just happened? Or look around, see if there's anyone listening at all. If you live alone, then like me, maybe you just got kicked out of shouting stupid thing loudly. Sister Boonity is not just scary, she is weird. Continuing to nourish Sister Boonity so she can tell next scary story. Nikola Tesla's tiny tzatziki. Okay, let's do this one proposed to us by Paul the Joiner, 3 times. Start really, really quiet, then normal level, then loud as you can. Nikola Tesla's tiny tzatziki. Nikola Tesla's tiny tzatziki. Nikola Tesla's tiny tzatziki. Ha 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 ha. Oh, I almost farted. Reading your notes. Ha 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 ha. Nick, it worked. Granted, not with a human being, but it worked with someone, an entity covered in fur. For those who do not know Nick, the wolf, he is lover of John the Raven, and they have child who is a werewolf. His name is Storm. Sister Boonity is creative and marvelous, but too stupid to remember to bring napkin. Getting hummus, homeless pancreas, hummus everywhere. Okay, we go onward. You, Paul the Joiner, are welcome. Everyone deserves to have room for their own creative weirdness. If no one will give you the room for your own creative weirdness, make the room yourself. Safely. Don't do weird where you know it's going to cause consequences you cannot afford to pay. Do push the envelope. That is good. Or do it for yourself, someplace where you feel comfortable doing it. Both things are good. Sometimes you got to keep it in because it's for you. And sometimes you've got to push envelope and give it to others, whether they like it and want it or not, because you have to pay back, making room in the world that you received. This is why I am here. I don't know if you can tell, but I am wearing a beautiful gossamer whale. No, not a whale. No, a whale is like many tons and shoots water out of its spout and eats krill. No, I'm wearing a whale. Like a nun wears a whale. No, it's not a little brooch shaped like the mammal in the ocean. It's this. This is my whale. There, you see? I'm wearing a whale. I'm Slavic. That is what we do with a W. Well, well, well. Will you look at that? I'm a bat! It's not funny because everything is black. You can't see diddly squat. My friend and roommate, Sister Boonity, is well known in the community for always taking care of the rubber chickens. She is not here tonight. And so Sister Boonity, her friend and roommate, has brought on rubber chicken. Do you want to see the rubber chicken of Sister Boonity? No? Yes? No. Yes, Boonity. No, you stupid hag. Tell me in comments. Oh, a person who has not spoken before has spoken. It is working. The stories are working. Soon Marsh says, show us. Okay, if you start the burlesque music, I will. Oh, you mean the rubber chicken? Yes. Okay, Paul, Coyote, and Soon Marsh all saying yes. So, Nick, even if you say no, you are outvoted at this point. It is 3 out of 5. Here, then, is the rubber chicken of Sister Boonity. I squeeze, but I don't get a squeaking noise. I may have to take it back. Maybe it does not work. Eh? Let us put it here so it can watch. And maybe if we are looking, you're supposed to be looking at me, not the other way. And maybe if I'm lucky, I tell Edgar Allan Poe story and it goes, nevermore! Now I conduct interview. I'm going to interview my Halloween rubber chicken. If you have question you want me to ask the rubber chicken, type in notes. I will ask rubber chicken. Rubber chicken will answer. Yes? Good. So, rubber chicken of Sister Boonity, what kind of bird you is? Chicken! Really? You are awfully small for chicken. I am capon. They cut my balls off. I do not grow. Are you sure you are not squab? Do I look like squab? I have not had squab to eat, so I do not know. I am not squab. Squab is a fancy way for rich people to say pigeon. I am not a pigeon. Oh, this I did not know. Now, this I know. So, if I tell story from Edgar Allan Poe, will you in fact chime in with the refrain from his famous story and say, nevermore? Will you do this for me? No. Why not? I say something else. What other thing do you say? I say, livermore. Livermore? Yes, livermore. Why livermore? Because I study radioactive isotopes. And Livermore is very important research facility. Great. Now I have to tell story about nuclear accident or something. Let's see if there's anyone who has questions for you. Yes, a tad overcooked. Yes. Her goose was cooked. How she had a goose, which is a much larger bird, I don't know. Ah, yes, Nick the Wolf asks the most important question that you can ask in academia. Second most important. Most important question is why? So if I am philosopher, which being undead, I often... Sister Boonity has eructated from the homeless pancreas humus. So being a necromantic philosopher, undead, I ask you, your response, your answer to this question, most important question in human philosophy. Why? Type me answer in comment. But now I ask second most important question in human philosophy to Sister Boonity's rubber chicken. Rubber chicken. First of all, what is your name? Estefan. Your name is Estefan. Yes. But I am from Moldova. This is where I procure you. Why do you have Spanish name? They both come from Latin. This is true. This is true. My parents were Romanians. My father from Moldova was Romanian. My mother from Mexico was not Romanian. So either way, Estefan is Latin. We're all from Latin. Were you there when Rome fell? Yes. What did you do? Try to pick it up. I should have known better. So now I ask second most important philosophical question in the world. Why did you cross the road? Because there was a sandwich on the other side. This is the correct answer. The rubber chicken Estefan crossed the road Because there was, on the other side, a sandwich. It reminds me of the important Zen koan, the maxim. Zen is not thinking of God while peeling potatoes. Zen is peeling potatoes. Be here now. What is in front of you? Other Zen aphorism in poetic form from Master Dorje, founder of Japanese Zen, brought from China. I forget exactly, so I paraphrase with my own version. Let's see, where does it start? Flowers in spring, full moon in summer, leaves in autumn, snow in winter. Everything as it is. Do you grasp the meaning? This understanding of the nature of life and reality will wipe away any metaphysical existential terrors of the supernatural that you might have. After all, most of the terrible things in the supernatural are manifestations of our own unexplored consciousness. An id projected on the world, if you will. That was not a horror story. That was how to unlock all horror stories. Ha 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 ha! Let us see if other people have questions for Estefan. We must know which came first, the chicken or the rubber. I will do extensive research on this question. If you will give me one moment, I will begin my research using an app. There is an app for this research. It is an app that is widely available, but not everyone watching will be using. I will refer to this app. Which came first, the chicken or the rubber? What I am seeing now is only gentlemen's. And so I am thinking, there you see my ring light. And so I am thinking that there is no chickens in the meat grinder. There is only gentlemen's who are using the rubbers. And so I'm going to say the rubber has come first. Obviously, the chicken has not arrived yet. When Estefan gets a profile on Grindr, then there will be both the rubber and the chicken. But the answer to your question, soon, Marsh, is the rubber was first. Do you concur, Estefan? No. This bird is acting up. Next question. Paul the Joiner asks if it crossed the road to get away from the skeletal coyote wearing a rubber. I will ask this question. Deceased chicken who used to be rubber, I suspect his true construction is currently resin. Resin is, of course, a substance composed of expensive sounding plastic. Did you cross road to escape from skeletal coyote? No. Why would you not want to escape from skeletal coyote? Because he is my lover. This response is unexpected. Apparently, Estefan, the rubber chicken, is a lovers with the skeletal coyote. Why? Why do you become lovers with a skeletal coyote? Because he is good at boning. Did I hear correctly you say to me that you are lovers with skeletal coyote because he is good at boning? You did! This will conclude the question and answer portion of the program with this rubber chicken that is no longer rubber. What do you think of that? Love knows no species. Paul the Joiner, I want this aphorism on t-shirt and mug. Please go to a website where is making the merchandise for this and is you making for me. Love knows no species, because I'm going to sell it to the puppy community and probably to the school children that the Republicans tell me are going to school identified as a cat and demanding litter box and then licking themselves. No shit. Paul Rubio, Ted Cruz, and one other of the GOP people in Congress literally told us 2 days ago that there are children identifying as cats going to elementary school and demanding litter box, then in the classroom licking themselves. I would like to just respond by saying, Mr. Senator Rubio, Mr. hopefully former Senator Cruz, and other Republicans, stop projecting your own sexual fantasies onto elementary school children, you boners of your mothers. Reading comment from Sun Marsh. Sun Marsh must know something about nearby river, because apparently there is no marsh, but soon there will be one. It is good for the peat industry. Soon I will tell you, I have been contemplating writing a book of aphorisms called Sister Boonity's Aphorisms. They will all be about how to remove human organs and turn them into attractive hors d'oeuvres for dinner party. This is my book. I will tell Sister Unity, I will tell Sister Unity, my roommate, that maybe she write book. She probably write much better seller than me with my organs horse d'oeuvres. Nick the Wolf. As a wolf, I presume still with flesh on your bones, you are very compassionate and you say the right thing. Who are we to judge what bone people want to bone? But we do know that Sister Boonity's rubber chicken is bottom. Nick the Wolf, I encourage you to pursue lifetime achievement of learning to lick yourself. I mean, you always have John to do for you, and I don't know, Storm too, whatever. Just depends on body part. Ha! But I think that it is important for a person, especially in United States, it is important for a person to learn how to lick own body. Think when you are old, they can put you in assisted living institution, or you learn to lick your own self and avoid paying thousands and thousands of dollars for the assisted living institution. But I want to get back to Halloqween and continue the stories. Still, no one is telling me what type of pumpkin Estefan has just committed suicide. Not easy task when you are undead. Sorry, Estefan. That means I need to put new companion on top of pumpkin. No one telling me what kind of pumpkin this is. David, late is still good. This is recording and will be on YouTube, so you can see 2 stories you have missed already. Play back later. You got at least 2 more stories. But the chicken has fallen off of the pumpkin. There is a contest, David. It is anyone who can tell me what kind of pumpkin this is, the species name of the pumpkin, other than pumpkin. I will email them a personal thing from Sister Boonity. And can you tell me what my grandmother's brass object from Turkey actually is? What the hell is this thing? If you can get both, then you win grand prize of Sister Boonity shoving sweet potato in rectum. Do not promise to do this live on camera, however. Okay, next companion for Top of Pumpkin. Very, very familiar to friends of Sister Unity. There, Sister Unity's penis. His name is Dennis. Dennis the penis. I'm not making this up. Unity tells me that is name of organ. Well, I guess now that you can put this show, you cannot put on Instagram because there's his penis. Well, watch this. I will show you. I do neat trick. Where is neat trick? Look, I'm Republican. Censorship! Okay. Are you ready for next ghost monster horror story? I look to see if you are ready in comments. David, your answer is exceedingly close to actual truth. Soon Marsh, please make a recording of your coyote howls. They would be good to post. It is Halloween, after all. When else are you going to howl? Easter? The story about the senators is an ongoing horror story that is true. I cannot do anything about it, like stab them with wooden stake, because all of the stakes that I can find are made out of cows. Well, Nick the Wolf, you have been holding back. You've been holding back on this. You know the answer all along. This is, in fact, Cinderella pumpkin. I know this because farmer who grew it told me yesterday when I bought it is Cinderella pumpkin. It will one time be fed to Sister Unity because orange food helps her to maintain her orange pallor. So, Nick, you get personally written and autographed message from Sister Boonity on Facebook. I know this will be the first time you have gotten such a thing. It is a treasure. Meki, it is good to hello, welcome Meki. Welcome to our little hunting. You have missed 2 stories, but not to worry, being recorded, and the entire evening will be on YouTube later, perhaps tomorrow, and you can watch the 2 stories that you have missing. Yes, Sun Marsh. That is the secret to Sister Unity's naranja pallor. Is she eats the orange food? I mean, why do you think that before she goes out with a boyfriend, she takes a kumquat? So, the next story, because the name of the pumpkin has been divulged. Look at that. Pumpkin? What pumpkin? There is no pumpkin, except when my magic creates a pumpkin. And now I make it disappear. Fun with lighting. The other thing, David, looks like incense burner. Correct, except, pleasing to excuse Sister Boonity for a moment. I am coming right back. 10 seconds. This object is not incense burner. Brass incense burner owned by Sister Boonity is this one. It is from China. This is incense burner. This is other object with other function. I'll let you look. Thank you, Coyote. It is beautiful. I did not purchase. When Sister Unity's roommate's boss's wife moved Sister Unity's roommate's family, boss's family back from Los Angeles to Memphis, Tennessee, she could not get rid of all objects in the house, huge art collection, and so she gave away objects. And to Sister Unity's roommate, the boss's wife gave the incense sensor from China. That is how it came to be in our collective possession. I apologize to you. Neither Sister Unity, nor Sister Crap, thank God, nor Sister Unity's roommate, nor Sister Pickle could be here because I am here. Our rule is when one of us is in the apartment, none of the others can be here. Only one at a time. Right. Time for another ghost story. I'm just looking at the comment for a moment. Oh, Sunmarsh, if you are connected to Sister Udity on Facebook, I know she would like to see your beautiful objects from China. Send photograph to her through Facebook. Me, I don't care. I am Sister Boonity. I exist one night a year. Show me dead things. And Nick the Wolf, she has stopped trying because every time she does, she loses a body part. We are absolute about our prohibitions. Okay, the pumpkin having been named, I will now tell you the horrible, terrifying story of the girl of the ashes. Once upon a time, there was a father and a mother, and they had a very beautiful girl, and they raised the girl to the age of 13, which is in Europe, from which the story comes, an unlucky number. At 13, the girl's mother died. She died from a poisoned carrot. It was poisoned by a weevil piss. A weevil peed on the carrot, and the mother did not clean properly and died. The father loved the mother, and the girl loved the mother so much. But the father knew he had to take new wife because he could not raise girl alone, especially she starts menstruating. What is this? Is early Renaissance, maybe late medieval era in Holy Roman Empire. What does he know about menstruation? He either burns her alive at the stake for being succubus, or he finds woman. So he goes and he finds, and he wants to improve lot in life. They had been poor farmers growing radishes for the burgeoning radish market in the Western Holy Roman Empire. And he goes to find a wife, and he finds wife with money. Not too much money, but enough money so they can live better, and he can relax after the radish market closes. And so he marries this woman, and this woman also has two daughters, and he's thinking this will be good. Two daughters will be company sisters, stepsisters for my daughter, and the woman and the two daughters, they move into the house. Don't stop me if you've heard this one. You have not heard my version. Well, there's a problem. The daughters are basically a late medieval Holy Roman Empire, early Germanic or Frankish version of Sister Crap. They are horrific to look at. One of them had an accident at the age of 3 and nose was cut from face, leaving 2 holes like in skull, just clearly apparent. And the other one had a syndrome that I learned about last night on YouTube, but I can't find, don't remember. It's a person named syndrome, and it means disease that makes bones of face and muscles of face so decompose so that it looks sunken in. And this is not the fault of any one person. These things happen to people, and it may seem shocking, but if you can look into their eyes, you see that they are beautiful people, and you do not see the physical difference. The important thing, especially when you're not used to how someone looks and you are surprised and shocked and you're starting to have a reaction like racism, the important thing is to look into their eyes and see their humanity and respond to this. However, when you look into the eyes of these two sisters, step-sisters, when the girl looked, girl name, okay, fine, her name is Cindy. When she looks in their eyes, what she sees is stupidity and obstinacy, stubbornness and cruelty, violence, and not the kind you play, the kind where someone gets hurt. Violence and cruelty were especially ringing forth from the stepsister's eyes. The stepmother, who does not have the misfortunes physically that her daughters have, you look into her eyes, and I don't know why father did not look into her eyes. Perhaps because she wears dresses and corsets that present her bosom very fiercely, and the man's eyes wandered. But if you do look into her eyes, what you see is nothing, and cold like knife plunged into ice. That is in the eyes and the soul of the stepmother. So the girl Cindy, first the stepmother, she rearranges house. She takes Cindy's room and she takes it for her own. And the father says, there are room for all 3 girls. Each one can have own room. I make room for Cindy, room for Squickrella. One of the girls' name was Squickrella, is early Germanic name. And the other one, Ludblech. Ludblech is the other stepsister, and also early Germanic name, perhaps Danish. They each have room, and then room for us. 4 bedrooms, no problem. New wife says, nonsense. I am not taking room with you. We are from a standard of living which demands that the wife have her own bedroom. Cindy sleeps downstairs. After all, she will be doing the housework all day, so she can be downstairs where her work is. Now, the father wants to protest and protect his daughter, but the wife gives him a look like a knife thrown to his chest. And he is afraid of her. She will F him up. So he says nothing, and his daughter is allowed to be forced to sleep downstairs. Where? Downstairs. Is there a sofa in front of television? No. This is Holy Roman Empire, and if you know anything about history, Habsburgs have lost empire a long time ago, so long before there are sofas downstairs. In farmer's house, she has to sleep the warmest place in this drafty farmhouse that she can find, and that is by the fireplace. Because if you went on these school tours of like Shaker villages in the Northeast or Amish villages, wherever, then you know that they keep the fire coals, but they put the ashes over them so the coals still there in morning. So there you start new fire from coals, so you don't have to waste valuable matches which have not been invented yet. So she sleeps near hearth of fire, near where coals are under ashes. And in this way, the stepsisters and stepmother take to not calling her name because it's just another way to dehumanize her. And they, when they are not calling her bitch, they call her girl of the ashes, ash girl, ashy. They make an ash of her. When she is scrubbing floor with scrub brush, they kick her in the ribs. One time they break rib. Takes months to repair because she still has to work. She can't lie in bed. She has to work, clean house. Farmer, father, you think he's there to protect her. He is not. He's out in fields because wife says, you grow radishes, bring in the money. I'm used to living a certain way. You bring in that money. You go grow those radishes. Yeah, I know what you were doing before. Your schedule is now double. I will buy the field across from yours. That gives you double the work, but double the money for me. So the two are work like dogs. It is depressing life, and she is physically abused by her stepsisters. Skagrella, I can't remember her name, Skagrish and Ludblech. The stepmother, whose name was Joanne, she comes home one day very, very, very excited, and she goes, girls, 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 come round. Not you, Ash girl. You need to finish cleaning out chamber pots from last night. Scrub Ludblech and took shit. So I want she crusted overnight when it dried on the rim of bedpan. I want you to clean that and use your fingernails to get the shit off the porcelain. There are many types of horror story, I'm telling you. So, but Cinderella, so she's doing this work with her fingernails on the porcelain, and she can hear what the mother Joanne has to say to her misbegotten daughters, her miscreant daughters. And she says this: I have in my hand invitation to Prince's marital ball. And the daughters say, oh, the prince is getting married. He is so young to get married already. He'd not even dated us. Us? You ask? Good question. The mother says, no, no, no. It is an in anticipation. It is marital because he is looking for candidate for wife. He wants girlfriend. So you and I, and we're all going to the ball. We're going to dress in our best, and we're going to fix your deformities with makeup, and we're going to ball, and you will have the prince for your husband, and it will be splendid because then I will get to live in palace when you are married to prince, and eventually you become queen of palace, I become dowager queen, and we see what we can arrange about the princes being in charge and being on the throne. But these things are for the future. Cinderella hears, but what gets into her brain at the age of 13? Excuse me, she is aged now. It is 16. She has lived through 3 years of this bullshit physical abuse, breaking ribs, being kicked, being forced to scrape dried shit out of bedpan, being fed like not the whole vegetable, the leaves and the roots that are left over are what given to her for dinner. Her lunch is one boiled onion. You think that's a funny detail? No, it is actually two. It is from workhouses of England, Victorian England. You get poorhouses. You get boiled onion if you're poor. Cinderella, Cindy, the ash girl, she is the poorest. So the night is coming, and the stepsisters are running around with beautiful dresses, and the mother is in the most amazing dress that was hand sewn by somebody from France. France hasn't even been invented yet. It's Austrasia, which was there in Metz, was the capital. It was in Belgium and northern France. You can study this in World Book encyclopedias. What? They don't exist? Well, what do people use now? They were looking beautiful, and they're getting ready to go. The golden coach is outside to take to ball. Father is passed out, drunk, because he drowns his miseries and his sorrows in alcohol. That way he doesn't have to face how brutal his wife is, locks himself in bedroom. He's abandoned his daughter. And so the daughter, the girl of the ashes, Cindy, she has sewn for herself a dress out of the scraps she can find, maybe some cleaning rags even. And it is a good shape. It is well made for given what it is, but it is ordinary. She does not have the things to make it beautiful. And the stepsisters laugh in her face. And the stepmother rips the dress from her body, her long, sharp nails digging into her flesh at the same time. And the stepmother takes the girl of the ashes by the throat, and her fingernails dig into her larynx. And she says, "You are not going to the ball." And with that, she squeezes and crushes the girl's larynx, and she cannot breathe. And the stepmother and the stepsisters leave her dying, gasping, and gurgling on the flagstones of the hearth. One hand is fallen onto the wooden part of the floor, and the other hand has fallen into the ash, and the embers in the ash burn the skin of her hand, but she does not feel a thing as she slowly suffocates to death. This is not the end of our story. Oh, no, no, no. It will get worse from here. The mother arrives at the ball. Her daughters arrive with her. They are announced. The herald who ushers them in hesitates before pronouncing their names, but given that he is also from Germany, maybe Denmark, he pronounces it correctly, and in they go. Ludblech gets drunk on the punch almost immediately, and the other one whose name I'm tired of pronouncing because she is so horrible. She is not drunk, but she keeps on snorting things. She snorts little chili flakes. She snorts snuff. She snorts powder from people's wigs. She is like addicted. The mother, she keeps pushing her daughters at the prince. Every time Prince walks by, she pushes a daughter at the prince, and the prince bows low to the daughter and laughs in that fake way that wealthy people do to make you feel comfortable for the fact that they're going to ignore you from that moment onward. And he walks on. They can make no headway. The mother, at the end of the night, she scoops her daughters into the coach, and the coach gets on the road. While the coach is on the road, the wheels make a noise like they're hitting a rock over and over again. Click, 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 click. The coach goes on. Click, 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 click. And all of a sudden the noise disappears, and the mother and the two daughters, they see by the side of the road just ahead a beautiful woman. And she is wearing a dress that is made, it looks like it is made out of crystal. If you could take glass and blow into threads, it is woven in a sort of lattice pattern. It looks like it is made of glass, but when she turns, it moves like fabric. And her neck is long and pale and very beautiful, soft, young skin. And her hair, it looks like it is shimmering in the moonlight, like made of gold. And she has a lantern. It looks like made of silver and crystal windows with candles inside, illuminating and reflecting off this crystal dress. And on her feet, she's wearing shoes that were made by Waterford. They are glass-like and with carvings and cut like Waterford crystal. It's amazing. And the mother says, hey, to the coachman, stop the coach, stop. I want to know who this woman is. And she stops and she says, good evening, young girl. You are out here? I do not see a coach. Do you need assistance? We are just coming home from the ball. Do you need assistance in returning to your home? And the girl looks at the mother. And the mother sees two black eyes. There is no iris and no white. The eyes are pure black. And the girl says to the mother, do you know me? And the stepsisters turn to each other and turn to the mother. They say, why should we know? We've never met anyone with such a beautiful dress. If we knew such a person, we would have befriended them and figured a way to suck all the money out of their family into us. We don't know who is this woman, what is wrong with her eyes. And the mother looks into the eyes. And the mother is she's a Scorpio with Taurus rising. She's not easily frightened as she looks into the eyes. She says, no, I do not know you. But if you enter our coach, perhaps I will know you better. And the girl with the black eyes says, I will accept your offer if you take me to the ball. The mother says, we are not going to the ball. We are going home. We can take you in our direction if you like. The girl with the black eyes, she says, if you go home, you lose one daughter. If you take me to the ball, you keep both. The mother, she is a class A bitch. She is not easily frightened and is not threatened. But there's a deal being made here, and she senses that it could to work to her advantage. This clearly very wealthy woman has no coach. She's in need. She thinks, well, she's going to give in eventually, and I will take her home and meet her parents, and that I can get to know them and make acquaintance, and it will end up where I will have more money. So she says, I cannot take you to the ball. I can take you in this direction towards our home, where all the other houses in the kingdom lie. The castle is the only thing in that direction. Surely you live in this direction, and I can take you there, and I can meet your parents and tell them how well I took care of you in the middle of the night, out in the middle of nowhere, with no coach and no coachman to look after you. Think of your parents and what they will think of this. And the girl says, now, if you go home, you lose two daughters. Unless, and this is the last time I will ask, take me to the ball and keep your daughters and yourself. And the mother gets her back up. You are not telling me what to do. I was kind enough to offer you help. I was going to take you to your parents' house and make excuses. I was going to tell them, oh, I met her at the ball and her coachman was drunk and lost. And so I said, don't take your coach. It is dangerous with drunk coachmen. I will take you, and I brought you to your parents. This I will lie to your parents for your benefit. Now you are making threats to me? You young thing, you have not lived, you don't know what I know, you're out of your place, I don't care who you are, what kind of money you have, you can sit here by the side of the road to the morning, good night. And the mother bangs on the coach, and tells the coachman to drive on. The coach goes down the road away from the beautiful girl. Everybody looks back and watches the shimmering dress get smaller and smaller and smaller until pink, it is gone. They get back to their home. The father is still passed out in the bed with a pillow soaked from ondule. The stepmother goes up to the room. The daughters go to their room. They take off their fine clothes. All the way home in the coach while they're riding, they hear click, click, click. And the mother is thinking to herself, go to get the iron rim on the wagon wheel, the coach wheels fixed. There has to be some piece of iron against another piece, and every time it turns over, hits ground, it makes click noise. Or maybe the road, maybe I got to talk to magistrate about the road being filled with rocks or something. I don't know. Terrible. So they're in their home and getting undressed. They're washing their faces from the makeup. And they're getting into their soft bed with quilts that were handmade by nuns in the place in Australia that would one day be Belgium. They close their eyes. And the first stepdaughter, that she thinks she's dreaming. And in her dream, she is hearing the same wagon noise. Click, click, click. She thinks, oh, that's a kind of upsetting dream. And so she opens her eyes. But the noise does not stop. Click, click, click. And it seems it is getting closer and closer. And she thinks she hears it is outside the house. Click, click, click. But then it stops. And she thinks, okay, whatever is outside cannot get inside. She closes her eyes, and this is when she hears it. She hears the door of the house open and close, and then louder, echoing off of wooden surfaces. Click, click, click. She hears the noise like it is moving up the stairs. Click, click, click. She pushes herself under the covers of her bed. She tries to practice not breathing, so maybe they will think she is not in the bed. Click, 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 and it stops outside her door. She holds her breath. Maybe whatever it is could be listening for her breath. She holds it. Nothing. Minutes go by. Shallow breathing, the kind you take when you're faking. She thinks, okay, nothing. Surely it must now be gone. And then she hears it. The door to her room opens and closes. Click, click, click. The second daughter is deep asleep, and in her dream, she is having a nightmare. She is some kind of wild creature made of wood and claw and fur and black and red, is tearing her sister to bloody pieces as she hears her sister's gurgles as her throat is ripped from her neck, as her heart and lungs are pulled out of her rib cage, and she hears the chomping, chewing, smacking, drinking noises of whatever this is as it consumes her raw organs. The sister snaps awake, That was a horrible dream. Oh my God. That was so real. It was awful. I have never dreamed anything like this. That was horrible. She is panting and breathing and panting and breathing when she hears a noise down the hall. What noise does she hear? You know what noise she hears. Click, click, click. It gets closer and closer. Click, click, click. It is outside her door. She tiptoes out of bed and puts herself so quietly into the wardrobe where she used to hide from her mother as a girl. No one can find the wardrobe. Clothes are in the way, cannot see me. She holds her breath for 2 minutes, and then she hears it. The door to her room open and close, and then she hears click, click, click. Awakes. The next morning, maybe she was going to hear some clicking and die. No. But she wishes she had not woken that morning. She has dressed and gone downstairs. There is no Ash girl to clean house anymore. And mother thinks, I'm going to have to make husband earn even more money from the radishes. We're going to have to buy some other poor slob girl to come and clean house. But the bitch had it coming to her, going to the ball. What a fucking bitch. Steal my thunder. Steal the opportunity of my girls. She got what was coming to her. An hour goes by and she thinks my girls sleep late, but this is a little ridiculous. I'm going to go upstairs and kick their asses. And she goes upstairs and opens the door to Ludwig's room and finds a bloody mess. Pieces of her daughter over here and over there and over there. Her torso is ripped and the ribs are gleaming white in the morning sun, and the blood is everywhere, turning dark brown, drying in the sunlight. Funny thing about the rib cage, it is hollow. She is screaming. Not too long, remember? She's a fierce bitch. She screams once loudly. Her husband wakes out of his stupor and comes running. What? And sees the horror, and he falls down on his knees in terror. The woman runs to the other daughter's room, screaming her name, which I can't remember now. She flings open the door and finds that daughter, or what is left of her, hanging from the ceiling. Not by the neck, by the tongue. There is some kind of hook on the rope hanging from beam in ceiling. The tongue has been hooked through, and the rest of the body hanging down in ribbons, in shreds, like long 6-inch long razor sharp steel razor blade claws have torn body, stick in and pull down like razor blades have just shredded through the body, like a meat curtain hanging in the middle of the room, like some artistic installation of horror. The woman screams again, controls herself. The husband comes running and loses his mind. He goes crazy, and from that moment, for the rest of his short life, he wanders around the town, mentally completely ruined. This being the time that it was, there was no help for him. He lived eating bugs and whatever scraps people would give him. The woman, her daughters are dead. She has them taken away. She finds some poor slob to clean the freaking mess of the house. She kicks her husband out while he wanders the streets, takes possession of the house, which is easy for a wealthy woman to do in that time and place, and she goes to the palace. And at the palace, she says, I want to speak to the magistrate about the deaths of my daughters. The magistrates in the town, they don't know what to do. They're not doing anything. This is clearly some organization or foreign power has come and invaded our country, and they're committing acts of terror upon the people. I don't know who is next, but if we don't stop now, this will turn into major crisis. I demand to see Prince. I want to see Prince. This is international incident. The magistrate says, I will look into this. We will not bother the prince. He has many important things to do. He has just married a new wife, and they are acquainting her with the family and the ways of the royal palace. I will not bother him. I will look into the deaths. The woman says, no, it is not enough. You have heard of the deaths. And the magistrate, he gets nervous. He's a little nervous. He says, yeah, yes, with news like this, how does one not hear? And the woman says, then you know. You take me to the prince now, or I will rub your nose in the blood of my daughters. The magistrate, he knows this woman is not to be trifled with, and he is spineless. So he backs down, and he goes to the prince, and he says, your royal highness, I'm so sorry to bother you with this worrisome detail, but there is a woman. And she is of some financial means. You may remember she was at your marital ball just last month, or week, or whenever it was. And it was the night that you found your new wife, in fact. And terrible things have happened. I don't know if you've heard about her daughters. And the prince says, enough. I know. I have heard the stories, of course. I will speak with this woman and offer her my condolences. And his new wife says to the prince, I will go with you, my husband, because your duties are my duties. Your people are now my people. And we will share in this heavy, sad task together. The prince looked at his new wife with love and said, I have chosen the right person to be by my side. And they got to see the wicked stepmother, Joanna. And the prince looks at her. And he begins to say something like, my poor woman, your loss is incalculable. But he sees on her face a white as the blood runs out of her face. And her jaw is dropped open, and her eyes are almost bulged out of her head as she stares and points at his new wife. And she says, you were the woman by the side of the road. And what is more than this, she says, you were the little bitch who was the cleaning of my house. How dare you? What have you done? She has put two and two together and recognized the Ash girl as the girl by the side of the road in the crystal gown, and as the young wife of the prince, dressed all in frosted blue and yellow silk with ribbons and crystal slippers on her feet. And the mother rises and she takes out her fingernail to go and grab at the throat of the new wife of the prince. But before she can step one step closer, the prince has removed his rapier and run her through from the sternum to the pancreas, he has skewered her. And she turns and looks at the prince and back at the girl. And the girl just smiles as the stepmother dies on the floor of the palace. This is the end of our story. You may be wondering how a girl who died with one hand burned in a fireplace has become the princess of the prince. You know this story. You know what it was based on. So you know you should be able to guess the answer. It is 3 words. God, Mother, Fairy. Put them together yourself. I see it is 10 o'clock. That means that it is past 1 a.m. on the East Coast. The ghosts have come, and the ghosts are now talking to their descendants. It is time for you to bring a little tequila and some marigolds and some food, pupusas or empanadas, and to go to the graveyard to visit your ancestors. Halloween has Halloweened. The All Hallows Eve is becoming on the East Coast a hallowed day and a day of the dead. The veil is thin, so talk to your ancestors. I will show you mine. Just a minute, my sister Boonity goes to get her ancestors. On this night, the night when the demons and the spirits will revel, and the veil between the worlds is at its most thin. I pay honor to my ancestors. I pay honor to Alice Cooper, no joke, Alice Maud Mary Cooper, and Charles Cellier, great-grandparents, and their children, Elsie Estelle Cellier and Alberta Cellier. Their father was amateur photographer and took this picture. The one in the cape and hat is Elsie, my grandmother. It was to be her photograph, but her cunning and very intelligent sister Alberta ran into the picture. Elsie and Bertie. This picture is famous in the family now. The minx and the other minx. They would grow up and move to New York City. One would be a nurse who fainted at the sight of blood, unlike Sister Boonity. The other would become very literary and would send many books to her grandchildren and grandnephew. This is Elsie. When her nursing days were over, she moved to be with her mother, Alice Cooper, because Charles Cellier had died young. He died from syphilis. He was not a philanderer. He contracted syphilis from his mother, who gave it to him when she gave birth, and he traveled through the vaginal canal. Excuse me, lost my accent, traveled through the vaginal canal. She got it from her husband, Charles Pierre Sellier, who was a philanderer and a Crimean War ex-veteran, a veteran of the Crimea War, and who went bankrupt in his wine business in London, despite originally being French. His son moved to Montreal, Canada, and married Alice Cooper. And then school was out for summer. I make joke. So Charles died young, and Alice Maud Mary moved. After daughters moved to New York City, she moved across border to United States. So here is Elsie, who moved back to be with her mother. Her mother owned boarding house, in which she introduced Elsie to Italian man from New York, from New Jersey, Guido Joseph Arzonico. This is daughter of Guido Joseph Arzonico and mother of Sister Boonity. Her name was Marjorie Arzonico. I honor Elsie. I honor Joseph, who also died young when Marjorie was 12. It is like a curse. I honor them. Here is Marjorie when she was all grown up. She is in the biggest city in her state, which is a very small state, 1 million people only. But what is she doing? See, she holds poster of homosexual crustacean. She is speaking out for organization called Speak Out. She spent her 70s as LGBT rights activist, traveling around state and to New York City, where she met Edward Albee at fundraising dinner, best moment of her adult career. She spent her 70s as an activist for LGBT rights because her son is a notorious homosexual. It is I, Sister Boonity! Hi. I honor my mother, Marjorie Arzonico Webster Schneider Clement. She had a few marriages. I have a sister. She's alive. I have a brother. He is dead. I honor Jeffries Webster, my dead brother. Half brother, but when you are alone and you are told these two people are your siblings, you don't go, oh, well, they're half. I'm 3 years old. Yeah, they're half. When you are 3 years old and you are a nun in the making, you go, no, they're my brother and sister. Yeah, the half can go away. I honor my father. One moment, please. I get you a picture of my father. His father, I did not know. He left the family when my father was 3 or 6 or something very early and did not look back. My father did the same to me, but he looked back. We had a very good relationship. And my father, in the time when he was away from me, he got his job at television station. And this is my father in his work clothing. Yes, bitches, my father was Bozo the Clown for Channel 6, New Bedford, Massachusetts. Signed autographed picture. He says, just keep laughing, Bozo. Sister Boonity is the son of the activist and Bozo. It explains the whole thing, does it not? I thought you would think so. This will go onto my altar because it is now becoming Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. You see, I'm placing them on my altar even now. That was just the sensor. Well, I put some of them on the lower shelf of the altar, which you cannot see. And some I put where you can. Do you not think it fitting on Halloween night for me to honor my ancestor, Alice Cooper? Ha 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 ha! The last ancestor, I don't have picture here, it's in another room in book, is my grandmother, mother of my father. They did not get along, but she loved me. And she would think hilarious that a little blonde cherub who once played inside the cardboard box that she made for him had grown up to be the horror that is Sister Boonity. She would laugh. We would sit and watch television in the 70s, a show called Merv Griffin. And while we are watching this boring show, she would, out of the blue, go like this. Whoopee! Is it any wonder? I want to hear the stories of your ancestors as well. The ones who inspired you, the ones who were infamous, notorious, the ones who gave you love. You can post them on Facebook. You can put them in the comments of this video. I want to know. I'm interested to hear your story because you have heard mine. Now, before I go, I read comments and answer any questions that maybe you have. This is the last chance you have for 1 year to talk to Sister Boonity. Soon Marsh has revealed that she is in fact an East Coast Marsh. I say good night to her. And to the 6 of you remaining, do you have any questions for Sister Boonity, who is using the YouTube account of Sister Unity? I wait for a moment to see if there is a delay and a question will arrive. Otherwise, I will say good night in a moment. But while I wait, I will go and check this very important research mechanism on the telling phone. Yes, I have thought so. It seems that all of the usual suspects in my area are currently out in some costume in West Hollywood or something like this. Let me see who is left in my favorites. I did not expect there to be anybody in my favorites. I usually hit on people who have some kind of intelligence and fun lifestyle, but no, they are all here at home with Grindr on and exactly the same distance from me that they always are. That can only mean that they have not gone to the Hollywood of the West. Such things in human behavior are rather a puzzle. I find humans very puzzling, and that is why I slaughter them to consume their organs. Usually in the form of hummus. Yujiko asks question. Piggy, thank you very much for telling me you enjoyed me and the stories. I had exceptional time telling them, and I'm glad you enjoyed them. I do it because it is fun for me, but without you, I have no fun. I thank you also for being here and watching. Yujiko says, did anyone figure out what the other thing is next to the pumpkin? This is the question, Yujiko. This object has not been correctly identified. Do you wish to take a stab at it? If not, I can give you a hint. You can leave in the comments who would like me to give the hint so you can guess what it is, because you would be guessing at this point. And if you don't want hint and you're tired of game, just say so and I will tell you flat out. But I'm dying to give you hint because it is a little teensy weensy bit funny. And remember, tonight we advertise for Quattro's deep dish pizza, cooked in the Chicago style in Carbondale, Illinois, right down in the south, near the University of Southern Illinois. Near Southern Illinois University. Quattro's. Say, Sister Boonity sent you. It will mean nothing to them, but say it anyway. Yes, everyone is asking for hint. I give hint. Must stand to give hint. Whale is caught on the chair. Here is hint. Okay, come out. Come on out. Come on. I know you're in there. Come on, get out of here. Come on, there's 3 things that I need from you. Hurry up and get out here. Is Robin Williams' ghost in there? Yoo-hoo! Mr. Williams, I know you're dead. It is Halloween. The veil is thin. You can come out and talk to me now. This is your hint. Piggy has guessed exactly right. It is an oil lamp, and it is not tiny. It is actually big-ish. You can see next to my hand. Well, okay, there are bigger, but it is tall. This has 3 spouts into which you put a long cotton wick. You put them into the spout, into the spout, into the spout. Inside, you lift this up, and inside here, you fill a reservoir with oil. I have been using olive oil or ghee because they use them in the East. Perhaps I should use a cleaner one because this used to be brighter. So yes, you put oil in here, it soaks in wick and comes up into the spout, and then you light the wick here, and the flame, there are 3 flames, they come from the spouts. When you are done, is attached a snuffer, and you snuff the wick. And when you start again, there's a poker, a little stick, and you can pull the wick out some more. And when the wick has got a black part on the tip and you need to get rid of it, there is a little pair of brass scissors to clip the wick. And it has handle that is broken handle to carry. It is a lamp. I think it is from Turkey because Turkey market said a lot of brass to a lot of tourists in the 20th century. But could be wrong. If perhaps you look up and you find one day a lamp that looks like my lamp, you can tell me, no, it is from Morocco or India or Kansas. This was in my grandmother's house on Peaks Island in Maine. And when I went to visit her for the first time at the age of maybe 3 years old, I saw it in corner of sun porch, just sitting alone in corner. And I thought, you, sir, are the most fascinating item in this entire house. And you look like magic. You look like stories and travel and exotic places and magic to me. And I fell in love with it. And every time I came to visit her twice a year, every year, until she died at age 16, 1980, the day before Ronald Reagan was elected. I'm glad she died before he was elected because it would have killed her to see him elected. Every time I came to visit was this lamp. And when she died, she left me her house and her objects. Don't worry, I'm not rich now. You're looking for a house. I sold it to go to college, as she told me to do. But I still have some of her things, including the lamp that I have loved since I was 4 years old. Over 5 decades of loving a doohickey. Yes, I know things are just objects, and the Buddhists teach us to be detached from the lamp. At the same time, The Hindus teach us, na shivam vidyate quachit. There is nothing that is not Shiva. I am Shiva. You are Shiva. YouTube is Shiva. The lamp is Shiva. I am free to love what I love because love is Shiva. I am Shiva. It is Shiva. And I'm free to acknowledge my hatred for the things I hate. And I'm compelled to also know that they are also Shiva. My feces are Shiva. The boys who bullied me in junior high school are Shiva. It is all Shiva. So, being Shiva, why not love it? And if it goes away in a sudden manner, then I can say to myself, I must remember to be grateful because I have had a chance to be with Shiva in that lovely form. And now I will say goodbye to Shiva and turn and face the new Shiva. That is detachment. It is not throwing things away. It is unplugging them from any kind of mental complex that keeps you tied up in it in a manic way. But enough of Hindu philosophy. This is Halloween. We're supposed to be being scary. Blah, blah, blah. All right, I'll let you go to sleep now. It is 10:29 on the West Coast. It is time for me to leave the apartment of Sister Boonity so that my roommate can come back and enjoy a little bit of World of Warcraft and television. Also Shiva. You are welcome, Yujika, for these stories. There will be more stories on more occasions. Be here next year for Sister Boonity again. But there will be more stories. Sister Unity will be telling them again and again. I think one of you here works with Sister Unity. Yes, the man named Wan Jung. He plays the classical Chinese pipa, and he plays the music while Sister Unity makes the stories. They are very good together. They're very amusing people and interesting. Yeah. So you should watch them and watch their social media for advertisement. Yeah. But not on Twitter, because I think Sister Unity might quit because it is terrible now. Elon Musk has bought it. And that is the final horror story of Halloween 2022. Farewell, my beautiful, devoted audience. It has been a delight to be spooky with you. Ha!